Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to start our program. I apologize for the delay. In a career spanning more than 40 years, Paul Borek has accumulated considerable experience and accomplishments in economic development, banking, and city planning. Paul received his bachelor's degree in geography and urban studies from Dartmouth College and a master's in business administration from Aurora University. As executive director of DCEDC, Paul has been instrumental in the development and expansion of several major manufacturing and distribution facilities, promoted research and development partnerships between Northern Illinois University and local industries, and coordinated the application and certification of the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone. Paul is married to his lovely wife, Mary Myers. Together they have 2 grown children and 1 granddaughter, Lennox. Please welcome Paul Borek.
Thank you, everyone. We're running a little behind, so I'm just going to jump right into the program. As we approach the close of 2019, DeKalb County is on the verge of attracting developments of significant size and impact that they could really begin to transform our economy. 2 potential projects in the city of DeKalb, south of I-88, east of Route 23, involve food processing and technology industries that could distinguish DeKalb County while generating substantial investment, jobs, and tax revenue. The DeKalb Planning and Zoning Commission approved plan development amendments for the Chicago West Business Center to accommodate a food processing company north of Gurler Road. This prospect is considering development of 1.2 million square feet for distribution uses and a 460,000 square foot food packaging center. Projected employment would exceed 1,000 workers. To support expedited development, the City of DeKalb issued a mass grading permit to enable the builder, Krasinski Construction Company, to accelerate the preparation of 106 acres to accommodate the 2 proposed buildings. South of Gurler Road, a knowledge-based company is considering development of a sizable tract of land over several years. DCEDC has assisted the City of DeKalb and City Manager Bill Nicholas, as well as landowner Jerry Krasinski on these projects, working with the state of Illinois, the prospective companies and their consultants, together with utilities including ComEd, NICOR, the DeKalb Water Division, and the Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District. DeKalb taxing bodies and state elected officials have all been supportive. Projects are progressing and decisions are anticipated in the coming weeks for one and months for the other. K&M Tire, an Ohio-based distributor of passenger, light truck, commercial truck, and farm tires, acquired the 200,000 square foot 2600 Worthing Parkway building, formerly leased by 3M. Company founder and officials traveled to the DeKalb Airport in their corporate airplane to tour the building. The City of DeKalb has made building plans available for their review and is guiding the company through the occupancy process. K&M is relocating from a smaller building in Bolingbrook. Solotech completed build-out of 8,200 square feet of additional office space in the 711 Fairview Drive building, doubling employment from 20 to 40. Byers Brewing Company established operations on the first floor of the Sundog building in downtown DeKalb. The family-owned startup brews small batches of distinctive craft beers. The Right Stuff School Supply Company has relocated to the 733 Enterprise Drive building in the Airport North Industrial Park to expand their growing sales and distribution business. The Suter Company is expanding their Bethany Road facility in the Sycamore Prairie Business Park with a 2-story office addition. We look forward to hearing more about the Suter Company from our keynote speaker, Tim Suter. Seymour of Sycamore has begun construction of a 30,000 square foot addition to their 220,000 square foot headquarters and manufacturing plant on Crosby Avenue in Sycamore. Seymour invented aerosol spray paint back in 1949 and now serves industrial, automotive, consumer, commercial, and private label markets. TechWeld of Elburn has contracted to purchase the 805 Thornwood Drive building in the Sycamore Prairie Park. The move will triple the size of their operations. TechWeld is a family-owned manufacturer of precision-welded tubes, tanks, cones, and weldments. Build-out will include air conditioning and a clean room. TechWeld serves industries including aerospace, aircraft, automotive, agricultural, and defense. Swedberg Electric acquired the 525 Brickville Road building to accommodate their growing commercial and industrial electrical contracting business. Also, Alexander Drywall acquired the 917 Borden Avenue building to accommodate their business, as well as to lease space to Granger Development and Master Flight Stairs. Natural Polymers completed renovations and relocated to the 14438 East North Avenue building in Cortland from West Chicago. They are an energy-efficient urethane foam insulation manufacturer using environmentally friendly raw material bases. And FabTech expanded to the 775 Duvik Avenue building in Sandwich from Plano. FabTech is a family-owned and operated company specializing in efficient, durable stainless steel boiler systems. Whiskey Acres Distilling Company opened their new 3,600 square foot visitor center on Kesslinger Road, adjacent to the distillery and tasting room. In September, Whiskey Acres hosted a business roundtable event where President Jamie Walters described the importance of branding to their business as DCEDC pursues a branding initiative for DeKalb County. And the DeLong Company completed construction of new grain bins to increase storage capacity at the Delco elevators in Waterman. Myers Stores is progressing on construction of a 159,000 square foot supercenter. The project is located on a 31-acre site in the Sycamore Crossings development on Peace Road. City Manager Brian Gregory advises that construction is progressing despite volatile weather conditions, and completion is projected for the spring. Morningstar Media Group has completed renovations to the 220 South California building in downtown Sycamore. Morningstar is a full-service ad agency offering video and web production as well as brand marketing. The building also houses Caraco Coffee Roaster Collective, featuring hand-roasted craft coffees sourced from small farms throughout the world. And Chelsea McGee Studios expanded to a new location at 942 West State Street. Space is available at the studios for corporate events, receptions, and parties, as well as adult and youth art classes. Cornerstone DeKalb is complete with full occupancy of the project's 51 furnished luxury units located on Lincoln Highway and First Street in downtown DeKalb. And the Tavern on Lincoln Restaurant and Pub opened to rave reviews, joining Barb City Bagels and DeKalb Nail Spa in filling out the ground floor commercial units. Construction of Plaza DeKalb on the corner of Lincoln Highway and 2nd Streets is progressing. The 4-story mixed-use project will include 21 apartments and a Mediterranean specialty grocer. John Pappas advises that construction will be complete by February 1st, and occupancy is already at 60%. And Jamra opened its second DeKalb County location at the Plaza. The restaurant features popular Middle Eastern cuisine. The Agora Tower project will begin shortly with the demolition of the former Mooney building. The project is located east of 4th Street between Oak and Locust. The mixed-use development will include 94 high-end apartments with retail and office space on the ground floor. The $13.8 million project was supported with a $3 million TIF grant from the City of DeKalb. Mixed-use development is designed to accommodate demand for walkable downtown living close to entertainment and amenities. Jim Mason is building out 12,000 square feet of the 1,500 Sycamore Road buildings for Mason Indoor Golf USA. The project will include indoor sports simulators along with pizza and beverages. And Hometown Sports Bar and Grill expanded to an adjacent storefront, creating a space called Stage Left to host live entertainment in downtown DeKalb. Aldi completed construction of its new expanded grocery store at the Northland Plaza Shopping Center. Planet Fitness also established a health club at Northland Plaza as part of an effort by ownership to drive traffic to the center. Developer Next Gen Industries is progressing with construction of the Home 2 Suites by Hilton on Annie Glidden Road and Knowles Avenue. The 90-room extended stay hotel is designed to serve business travel demand from corporations throughout the county and region, as well as the needs of Northern Illinois University. The International Bureau of Electrical Workers is beginning construction of a training facility for electrical utility linemen on Walnut Avenue in Genoa. Smoking Grill and Pizzeria was established in a shopping center on the corner of 72 and 23. And the Supper Club membership restaurant and pub opened in the original Prairie State Winery building. Castle View Real Estate established an office on Main Street in Maple Park. Emerald Butterfly, a gift and home specialty store, opened on Route 30 in Shabana, and a new Burger King restaurant was constructed on Route 34 in Sandwich. New residential communities established in the county include Old Mill Park on Main Street and Mount Hunger Road in Sycamore, and the reopening of the River Bend project in Genoa, both developed and constructed by Granger Development. And both are 55 and older senior communities. Northern Illinois University has reimagined, revamped, and revitalized the first floor of the Home Student Center, as proudly described by President Lisa Freeman. The redesign focused specifically on creating a hub for campus life that is exciting for students to visit. The project includes a Starbucks coffee shop, a Depot convenience store, remodeled Husky bookstore, study lounge, and collaborative workspaces, as well as the Oasis, a space for the Student Association Campus Activities Board and a Student Affairs office. Kishwaukee College completed remodeling of the Library and Academic Support Services Center. President Lori Borowitz noted that the college used input from students to ensure that the space included room for tutoring, group study rooms, and technology support within the new library. Extensive renovations and the long-awaited addition of air conditioning are progressing at the Egyptian Theater. Year-round operation enabled by the air conditioning will help drive expanded programming, and in doing so will attract more patrons and visitors, increasing the economic impact of this unique arts and cultural venue. Construction of a new breast health center at Northwestern Medicine Kishwaukee Hospital has been completed. The center will include a state-of-the-art mammography, ultrasound, and new breast health equipment, as well as diagnostic and staging areas. Northwestern Medicine has also partnered with Northern Illinois University to provide campus health care for students. Construction is progressing on the expansion of the DeKalb County Nursing and Rehab Center on Annie Glidden Road. A 15,000 square foot transitional care unit is being constructed, as well as 18 new patient rooms and the renovation of 15 existing rooms. Upgraded communications as well as boiler and chiller improvements will also be installed. Family Service Agency doubled its space with the acquisition and renovation of the 1325 Sycamore Road building in DeKalb. The DeKalb Ogle Workforce Development Consortium's 7th annual heavy metal tour introduced high school students to local manufacturers, as well as the career technology labs at Kishwaukee College. This career development program also brought students to the FabTech metal forming, fabricating, welding, and finishing show at McCormick Place. The consortium is a partnership of the Kishwaukee Education Consortium and DCEDC. This concludes my overview of development in DeKalb County. On behalf of the DCEDC Public-Private Partnership, we congratulate all of the businesses, communities, institutions, and service and support organizations that have contributed to economic development in 2019. I'd like to give you all a hearty round of applause. Congratulations on your contributions to all of these efforts. And now to highlight the steps this public-private partnership is taking to accelerate growth and development to generate even bigger and better results in the future, I'm pleased to introduce our President, Cohen Barnes. Cohen is owner of Sundog, a 30-year-old technology firm in DeKalb that supplies, supports, and secures Microsoft and cloud technologies used by organizations every day. In addition to serving on the DCEDC Board of Directors, Cohen also serves as president of Proudly DeKalb and president of the DeKalb Corn Classic 10K. Barnes earned his Associate of Arts degree from Kishwaukee College and his bachelor's degree in English from Northern Illinois University. He's also a veteran of the United States Army. Cohen and his wife Amy live in DeKalb with their 2 children. Welcome, Cohen Barnes.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you. I love seeing the part that Paul talks about all the brick and mortar that's going on. It's really wonderful to see a lot of activity. I mean, the economy has turned around. A lot of stuff has been happening in the last 5 years, but when you actually see the amount of development going on, it's just wonderful to know that our community is making forward progress. What I'm going to talk about really briefly, though, is what DCDC is doing beyond helping facilitate some of these projects to come to fruition. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the DeKalb County Thriving Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And believe me, we're working on the name for some of these things, all right? So the county charged us with leading an economic development effort called DeKalb County Thriving. And through membership, through our board of directors, through many in the community, we spent a good deal of time, probably about 6 months, identifying 5 of the most important things that need to happen within our county in order to move the needle. And what we came up with, essentially, were 5 goals. First one being talent pipeline. That's a group that's working right now to identify the different recruitment strategies that we have, the different workforce development that we have. So when industries are coming to our community and they're looking at what their future employment base is going to look like, we can help facilitate and give them direction on, between the university, the community college, as well as our local high schools, the workforce that is actually being produced within this community, which is wonderful. We've got the Target Industries Subcommittee. They're actually going through and identifying, and some of this may sound like, well, I mean, we know what we are, we know what businesses in our community, but you'd be surprised when you actually start digging around and realizing from like upstaging and organizations like that, where we have an entertainment sector, right? A food sector, obviously with the history of agriculture that we have in our community, but we're identifying different industries that we've got here, which is going to be really important for us when we actually talk about branding, which I'll mention in a minute, to be able to tell our story within the community. So the Target Industry Subcommittee is working really hard to identify the different industries, and you can see a slew of them that they've come across. But then some really exciting ones that are happening are the Business Climate Committee. So imagine all the decision makers in the county getting together and actually starting to share some dialogue about what they're doing in their various communities to be successful and challenges that they have, and actually trying to share that information, right? This is an all boats rise kind of conversation that's starting to happen, and it's great that we've been able to start leading the charge on that. But CEDS 4 is one I'm particularly excited about, and I'm excited about the leadership the board of directors of DCDC had when they actually funded to have DCC Marketing come in and is going to lead a branding initiative for the entire county. When you think about brand, the important parts about it are, like when I think of the table I'm sitting at right now with First National Bank, there's a brand we can identify it with, right? The city of Sycamore, there's a brand that's associated with it. You see the name, you know the logo, you know the story that's behind it. That's important to be able to tell your particular story, and of course the Suter Company as well, which we'll learn more about. But we're going to go through that exercise in conjunction with Northern Illinois University has also contracted out the same marketing company, so we can really dig deep with SWOT analysis and focus groups from a wide variety of our county to figure out exactly how we're going to communicate that story to the outside world. So when people hear DeKalb and they think about DeKalb County, they know exactly what kind of environment that's going to be, and they know how it's going to be a fit for their particular business, and that's going to be a way we're going to drive attraction. And then the last one is the Community Champions Committee. Fantastic work going on by Chair Dan Templin right now, where I think even today they met and 14 of the 15 communities were represented. These are the people that carry water in their communities, right? These are the people that drive the initiatives and get stuff done. And have all of them come out as well and collaborate and figure out how they can learn from each other and bring more value to their individual communities. That's what they're doing on a regular basis within that particular committee. So what's cool about this, when you actually look at it, DCEDC is not just about economic development and trying to facilitate businesses that have raised their hand and said we're interested in coming. We're actually trying to take the destiny of this county into our own hands and really work together from a county-wide community perspective in order to move the needle with DeKalb County. So that's some exciting things that are happening. I encourage every one of you, and many of you in this room are a part of those various committees. Raise your hand if any of them sounded interesting and you want to engage. We'd love to have more representation on all those. But I want to thank all the committee members for the work that they've been doing on the SEDS initiative. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce our keynote tonight, someone I know really well. I've had the pleasure of working with the Suter Company in my capacity as Sundog, but I've also been able to watch an amazing leader, a third generation, take the reins of an incredible company and not just look at it from the standpoint of how can we produce and make goods and make a profit, right? But how can we actually leave a legacy? How can we leave our fingerprint on our community? And with Tim at the helm, the way he has mentored his staff through Suter University, the way he has mentored budding entrepreneurs with his work at Kishwaukee College in the entrepreneurial class, as well as the time he's just taken for many of us in this room just to share a little insight on how to run your business, he's been an absolutely fantastic leader and fingerprint maker within our community. I got to mention he's on the board of directors for the DCCF, the Kish Family YMCA. He's a lunch buddy, but we all know him especially from Make a Difference and the work that they have done with that organization that I'm proud to participate and my staff is proud to participate in every year. But I also got to call out, Tim's got his MBA from Northern Illinois University. Go Huskies, baby. And he got his bachelor's from some school in Oxford, Ohio, not sure which. Tim is here with his wife, Julie, and he lives in DeKalb with his 2 children. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Tim Suter to the stage.
Thanks, Cohen. I gotta lower this. I'm not as tall as I look up here. I guess that's gonna have to do. So we're gonna get the slides up there. So thanks, everybody. You know, I gotta say, being the keynote speaker is intimidating. So I hope this goes well. I hope I can add some value and offer a little bit of insight on some of the things we do at the Suter Company. And I'm going to start out with a little bit of a tangent that's going to seem off base for a meeting about economic development, but I think it'll make sense by the time that I'm done. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about actually is happiness at work. So I'm going to see if I can get my first slide to pull up here. So, you know, it's this funny thing, right? If you have a full-time job, you're actually going to spend at least half of your waking hours at work. That's a big commitment. But unfortunately, as it turns out, when you read the statistics, there's not very many people who love what they do. According to ADP research, only about 16% of all employees are fully engaged at their job. 80% of Americans don't trust corporate leaders, and only about 40% of people who are interviewed suggest that they have what they would call a good job. So that's a little maybe discouraging on the surface, but I want to tap into that a little bit deeper as we go along here. I'd also like to mention that, well, it is work after all, and maybe we're not really supposed to love our work. It's work. Maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't have to love what we do every day. But as it turns out, that's super important, which brings me to my next slide. Does it matter? And the answer is absolutely yes. So the Gallup organization is in the midst of literally this 100-year commitment to survey employees all around the world on what brings the most happiness. And you can see the categories up on the screen there, and it would be things you might expect like good health, a good job, love and respect from others,
money for your needs, and a better life for your children, those sorts of things. Well, it turns out that in the midst of their research, what they're figuring out is that, if it will pop up there, having a good job is actually the single biggest contributor to our overall happiness. That's pretty striking. When I saw that research, I was, I guess, not totally surprised, but I certainly wouldn't have thought it would have been number one. So at the Suter Company, we've wrestled with that quite a bit, this sort of dichotomy that being happy at work is important to our overall fulfillment in life, and yet most people don't tend to be happy at work. So what's the answer to that? Well, I'm not up here to tell you that we have the answer, but it's something that we're chasing. It's a journey that we're on, and we've had a lot of fun chasing that. But the idea of loving what you do and coming to a great place to work every day is something that we're busy at improving on every single day. So I'm just going to share a little bit about the Suter Company and what we do, and then try to get back to how do we try to chase that? How do we try to tap into I'll use the word happiness at work or engagement at work. And you might be wondering, well, what in the world does that have to do with economic development? And I'll try to make that point too, but I'll tell you that I think it's the key. Because if you want to serve your customers with excellence, if you want to grow your business, if you want to tap into the creativity and the genius that are around you every day with the people you work with, having them engaged and happy at work is absolutely critical. So I'm going to change gears a little bit and just talk a little bit about the Suter Company and what we do. I know many of you probably know some of these things, others maybe not. We're kind of a behind-the-scenes business here in town, so some of this will be new information, but I wanted to start off with construction, since this was an economic development meeting, and we've been busy lately, and I gotta say, it wasn't really my intention to call out an individual in the crowd tonight, but Russ, I just have to thank you for everything you've contributed to the Suter Company over many, many years of helping us grow and expand. I appreciate you both as a friend and a general contractor, so thank you, Russ, for that. So I think most people are aware that we have two facilities, both are in Sycamore, and we actually have one employee who doesn't work in Sycamore. He lives out in Maryland, but other than that, we're all here. We're all here in Sycamore or in the surrounding area anyway. We have had 5 different construction projects in the last 12 years. 2 of them on our older facility on May Street. And unless you are on your way to the Suter Company or Ozinga, you've probably never been on May Street. It's a residential area that we're completely landlocked at, which is what led us to the leap over to our facility on Bethany Road, which we built there originally in 2007. Had a big expansion last year, moved our fresh salad operation into that space as of October of last year, and now as Paul mentioned, if I can get the slide to move ahead here. As Paul mentioned, we're moving our administrative offices over to Bethany, and so as of I won't commit you to anything, Russ, but as of sometime next year, our headquarters will officially move over to the Bethany Road facility. So we're excited about that, and excited to get that project underway. So about the company. Family owned and operated since the very beginning. My grandpa actually started the company in about 1925. Ran the business essentially his whole life. My mom and dad are here tonight. My dad ran the company as second generation for his career, and then I joined the company right out of college in 1990 and have been there ever since. So we have about 280 total employees and growing. We're a little bit unique in our business in the food processing industry. It's unusual to have one company combined canning or shelf-stable products with refrigerated perishable foods. So we're a little bit unique in that regard and bringing those both under one operation. A lot of people don't realize how highly regulated the food business is. So we fall under both the USDA as well as the FDA. And one little interesting bit of trivia that most people don't realize is that as a meat and poultry processor, we have a USDA inspector on site every single day that we're in operation. So we have to give them an office and a parking spot, and it's the best parking spot. You got that right, Dave. Believe me, they wouldn't have it any other way. So in terms of what do we really do, we're a manufacturer of food products in its simplest way of stating it. And convenience is really the driver for everything that we do. Our business, we don't really do anything under our own brand. So everything is packed, either co-packed for other manufacturers or private labeled for chain stores like an Aldi or a Kroger or some of those large names that you would recognize. So nowhere out there can you pick up a product and see the Suter name on it. It's always the brand of our customers. And so because of that, we very intentionally partner with customers who are very strong in brand, very strong in distribution, very strong in sales and marketing. And so our focus is almost entirely on manufacturing. So that's a little bit different approach to what we do. Product development is a huge part of what we do. We essentially become an extension of our customer's operation through our test kitchen. We innovate for our customers. They expect creativity and responsiveness. They expect things to be customized. Another unique thing about our business is that we really don't make the same product for any two customers. Everybody buys something unique, whether it's recipe, packaging, whatever that might be. And so as a result of that, we're constantly in product development. Hundreds of products being developed every year, many of which never see the light of day. In fact, if we get 2 or 3 successful products out of the several hundred we develop every year, that's a good year. And it also takes a long time. So part of our product development approach, though, is during that product development phase, which lasts usually a minimum of a year, sometimes 2 years, we're developing relationships all along. And so we're getting our foot in the door and we're establishing a long-term high loyalty situation with those partners through that product development process. And then they end up with a product that they consider to be their own. And in many cases, we'll protect that recipe or that packaging for a given customer. You all can imagine, because we all experience this every day in terms of what's driving our growth. It's the busy lifestyle that we all have, right? It's 2-income families, and you go to a drive-through now, and there's double drive-through lanes, and there's home meal delivery services, and there's grocery delivery services, and meal kits have become more popular. Everybody wants everything to be ready to eat. Convenience is absolutely the driver of the trend that we're riding in terms of our growth. That can be for an individual consumer who doesn't have time to make lunch for their kids, who doesn't have time to make their own lunch, has to eat at the office or in the car, whatever that might be. It might also be for a business operator. So if we sell a tuna salad as an example to a restaurant, that saves them from having to make that product in the back room, puts their people out front serving their customers. So convenience one way or another is a very, very common thread that runs through kind of everything that we do. And obviously we don't see that reversing and changing anytime soon. People are busier than ever, and that's an ever-increasing thing that we're trying to pour into with unique solutions for our customers, is just to make people's lives simpler. Our product development team also does a great job of that, because many of our customers don't have those kind of resources where they have a test kitchen and the talent that we have in the test kitchen to develop unique recipes and follow trends that are going on out in the food business. So that's a critical part of what we do. Some of the logos of the brands that we pack under, these would all be pretty much household names that you'd be familiar with. So again, our brand isn't on anything that we make by the time it reaches a retail store. One of the most common questions I get is, well, where can I buy one of your products? So I just threw up 3 examples of local stores that carry our stuff. So if you shop at Aldi, you can find our chicken salads there. If you go to lunch at Panera Bread and have a tuna salad sandwich, you'd be eating our tuna salad. If you go to just about any C-store or gas station in the country, you can find Deli Express sandwiches, and those would be our salad sandwiches. We don't make the sandwiches, we make the salad, chicken, tuna, ham, egg, those kind of things that are found in convenience stores throughout, and our products are found throughout the United States and Canada, by the way. And I realize I'm moving through this fairly quickly, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time as we go along here. So next up, it used to be when I was growing up that if you wanted groceries, you would actually just go to the grocery store. And that seems to make sense. But in this day and age, you can get groceries anywhere, literally. I mean, you go to Menards, you can get groceries. Literally. So in terms of channels of distribution, very, very fragmented. Whether that's traditional grocery like a Jewel or a Hy-Vee or a Meijer that's coming to town, wholesale clubs like a Sam's or a BJ's or Costco, big box retailers like Target or Walmart, discount grocers like Aldi or Lidl, C-stores that might be a 7-Eleven, BP, Casey's, any of those types of stores, dollar stores, big segment for grocery these days. Dollar stores, that would be Family Dollar, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, And then some food service operations, as I mentioned, Panera is one example. So channels of distribution, very fragmented, and again, distributed all over the United States and Canada. Product always leaves our facility, generally in large or generally truckload quantities, and goes to distribution centers, so we don't do anything, that's delivery to an individual store, always to a distribution center that services the stores from there. We have, business is challenging every single day, and believe me when I tell you, we have our share of stubbed toes and failures. And in fact, my new favorite quote is at the bottom of the screen there. I've been sharing this a lot in the last couple weeks, which is that excellence is not the absence of failure, because we have a lot of challenges in the food business that we wrestle with every single day, and it's why I'm not quite fully up top there anymore. But whether that's supply chain issues, food safety issues, we're a manufacturing company, so employee safety is a critical priority. Staffing and adding talent's a big issue. We have, over our recent growth, we pretty much for going on a decade straight now have added about 20 employees every year, so we're almost constantly hiring. I can't really remember the last time we weren't hiring at the Suter Company. And then really it's just being unique. How can you be innovative and unique? How can you provide value to your customers in a way that they aren't already getting? In our case, most of our products are consumed around lunchtime or as a snack or appetizer. So Bill and I were talking about this a little bit earlier in terms of competition. We're essentially competing for our little bitty share of the lunch market or the snack and appetizer market. We don't do breakfast, we don't do center of the plate dinner, we certainly don't do beverage. So we're really looking at lunch and snacks and appetizers. So in that sense, we're competing with the Subways and McDonald's of the world, or whatever it is you're all going to do for lunch tomorrow, so to speak. But being unique and innovative is it's the last one on my list, but it's probably the biggest challenge, and I think we all face that challenge in some way, whatever industry you happen to be in. You walk into a grocery store in this day and age, and there's literally 50,000 products in a full-service grocery store. So how do you stand out? How do you do something that somebody else isn't already doing? It's a big challenge, and it's something that we live and breathe and work on every single day and try to deliver for our customers by listening well to them. So circling back to where I started, this dichotomy of happiness at work being important, and yet not all that many people are happy at work, and how do you solve that problem? Well, we see a tremendous opportunity in chasing that solution. And again, I'm not here to say that we've found the answer. I'm just saying that it's something that we're on a journey towards, because we think if we can solve it, it's a big opportunity to be realized. So first of all, like anything in life, the very first thing you have to do is make up your mind that that's actually a priority, is to create an environment in your workplace where people are going to be engaged and going to be happy. So it doesn't do any good to talk about it. It has to be a priority, and it has to be a priority that you're willing to put resources up against and take action on. So we made that decision a long time ago, and it's something we've been pursuing for many years, and we'll continue to do so. I love this quote on the screen that action is our only access to impacting life. The world doesn't care what we intend to do. So you got to set it as a priority. You got to go after it. The other thing is if you expect people to be engaged at work and you expect people to be happy at work, it needs to not be a transaction, right? It needs to be a relationship. So this is kind of a newer concept that we've been pursuing. It's like, well, okay, how do I decide if my team is engaged, if they're in a relationship with the company? And the three questions are on the screen are questions that we feel like are important questions in that regard. And the first one is do I believe in the company that I work for? In other words, do I trust it? It's an important question. If you expect me to come to work and be engaged every day, I better trust the company that I work for. The second one, do you love the people that you work with and demonstrate that by living out the values that we all share? And yes, we do use the word love at the Suter Company. It's an important part of being in our work family and caring for one another. So we mean that when we say, do you love the people that you work with? Are you happy on your team? Do you like the people that you get to show up and spend 10 hours a day with? I hope so. And then the last thing is if you believe in the company you work for and you love the people you work with, are you in a job where you can express your natural talents and work at your job with all of your heart? Because if you have a full-time job and you're not able to do that, that's a long day. And again, I'm not saying we've addressed each one of these perfectly by any stretch, but we're chasing that, and it's something that's a journey that we're on. So kind of at the end of the day, we feel like if you can answer yes to these 3 questions at least most of the time, then that's an indication that you're not at work for a transaction, you're in a relationship with the company that you work for. The other thing that we do is we're very, very clear and explicit about our values, our core values, and what our vision is for the company. And so you can see the core value areas there, things like how we're going to treat others, how we're going to make decisions, our passion for taking care of the customer, our passion for providing exceptional care for our employees, the idea of getting better every day, learning, being curious, taking classes, whatever that looks like, and then ultimately giving back and being generous. And if we can live out those values, we think we have a pretty good shot at fulfilling our vision statement, which is to enrich lives for generations. So we're very, very long-term oriented. We don't, when we fail, we don't give up. We get back after it, try new ideas, and keep pursuing that. So we're very clear about our values and our vision for what we're trying to accomplish. What does that look like? What does that look like to care for people in an exceptional way? For us, some examples of the unique programs that we offer are up on the screen now. Cohen mentioned one of them. We have free on-site educational opportunities for our employees through a program called Suter U. We have leadership development training for all of our employees, not just the management team, but for all of our employees through a program called A Leader's Voyage. We offer citizenship classes to our employees who are authorized to work in the U.S. but not yet U.S. citizens. We have an online video resource product called Right Now Media at Work. That's free access for our employees on all kinds of educational and training videos. We offer an annual service calendar, which is an opportunity for all of our employees to engage at least once a month in some sort of a volunteer service or team building activity. Of course, we host our annual event for Feed My Starving Children every year, just concluded this last weekend. We actually have chaplains that serve our employees every week. We have four chaplains from an organization called Marketplace Chaplains that are in our plants every week, just there listening, talking with and getting to know our employees. And then if somebody has a need, health crisis in their family, parenting issue, financial crisis, you name it, our chaplains are there to serve those employees in any way that they need. And they're professional, trained caregivers, and that's what they do, is listen and serve. They visit hospitals, they come to funerals, they can officiate weddings. They will serve our employees in any way that they can. And then last but not least, probably the most unique thing that we do is a program called The Dream Manager, which is based on a book by Matthew Kelly. We have 2 people whose job is to solely care for our employees as a one-on-one, what I would call a life coach. Helps employees set goals and realize their dreams by laying out action plans and becoming an accountability partner. That might be home ownership, it might be health and fitness, it might be going back to school, it might be going on a fun trip, taking your family to Disney. Whatever people's dreams are, our dream managers help people try to realize those goals by coming alongside them and being an accountability partner. So those are just some examples on top of the normal benefits that you would expect in terms of providing exceptional care for our employees and seeing the whole person, right? No transaction, this is a relationship. We see the whole person. We want to care for them financially, we want to care for them emotionally, physically, spiritually, the whole ball of wax. So we're intentional. Again, we make it a priority, we put resources against it. Not any one of these programs costs our employees a penny. And frankly, they don't cost the company all that much compared to normal benefits. So they've all proven to be great tools for attracting and retaining amazing people at the organization. Let's see if I can get this to go forward here. So one of the things we're flirting with now is this idea of, in business, we generally know that things that get measured get paid attention to and eventually improve. And so we're starting to play with this idea of having an impact report. And there's some categories down the side, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, or don't expect you to, but it just was to illustrate a point. You know, in business, we're like everybody else. We measure lots and lots of numbers, right? And whether that's sales or earnings or return on investment or expansion or cash flow or inventory turns, all that stuff, we measure the heck out of all that stuff because that's how we were trained. When we went to school, that's what we learned. When we worked in our other careers, that's what we were told we had to do, is measure everything you can, know the numbers. It's a numbers business. We were all trained to that. Well, it's more than a numbers business. Numbers are important, but there's more to it than that. So then we work up the impact report there through areas like business excellence and growth and development. And ultimately, we're trying to start to measure, are we actually enriching lives? That's our vision statement. Is that a reality? or are we just talking about that? And so we're trying to come up with a way to have metrics, and this is an emotional, personal thing, so it's hard to come up with metrics sometimes, but we're trying to come up with a way to measure whether or not we're making progress in these areas, to ultimately determine whether or not we're fulfilling our vision to enrich lives and really living out our values. So the next slide I'm going to show here, for those of you who might be thinking, well, this all sounds interesting and good and maybe a little soft, I want to share some data with you. And first, by show of hands, how many of you in this room have either heard of or read the book Good to Great? Pretty big number of hands up around the room. How about the book Firms of Endearment? Almost nobody. That's okay. So we read this book in preparation for our annual retreat for the senior management team this year, and it really validated some of the things that we've been exploring, and it's super interesting stuff. So I am going to read this bullet point because I won't get it quite right if I don't, but a firm of endearment is a company that endears itself to all of its stakeholders by bringing the interest of all stakeholders into strategic alignment. No stakeholder group benefits at the expense of another, and each prospers as others do. They talk about it as gaining a share of heart as opposed to a share of wallet. When I went to school in the early 90s or late 80s actually and got my marketing degree, it was all about share of wallet was what we talked about in our marketing classes. But it turns out that loyalty is more about how people feel, not so much what they think. So in order for people to feel good about your organization and what they're getting from you, it's important that you gain that share of heart, not just a share of wallet. And I know there's a very traditionalist view, and an important view, frankly, about maximizing shareholder value. Absolutely has a place, an important place in every business. Because if you're not fundamentally sound financially, none of the rest of this matters. But the reality is that maximizing shareholder value is actually a result of what you do. It's not what you set out to do, or it's not a strategy. So these authors in Firms of Endearment studied companies that they recognized who were appealing to all of their stakeholders, meaning community, employees, customers, shareholders, all stakeholders. And there's an interesting result there if you take the time to read that chart. So good to great companies, of course, many of you have read that book, and I've heard of that. It's a best-selling book by a really wide margin. Exceptional performance, double the S&P over a 5-year period, well exceeding it over a 10-year period. But Firms of Endearment, as recognized by these authors, and they had recognized, I think it was 50-some organization that qualified as a firm of endearment, you can see that their results not only double the S&P in the first 5 years, but far exceeded even good to great companies over the long haul. Again, over the long haul, right? This isn't something you do for 1 month or 1 year and decide whether it worked or not. It's a very much of a long-term approach. So the truth of the matter is, as a results-oriented business, which I'm sure most of us are, by providing exceptional care for your employees, by investing in your own community, by taking great care of your customers, the shareholder will do just fine. So that's a bit of data to help validate an approach. So again, just in starting to wrap up here, as we chase this, as we pursue this as an organization, the idea that people can actually enjoy their work and can be engaged at work, I'm absolutely convinced that it's the key to unlocking economic development. Because again, as I said earlier, when you talk about serving your customers with excellence, and when you talk about what it means to be a growing, healthy business, having an engaged and happy and talented workforce is going to be fundamental to success. It's absolutely critical. And I personally believe that each of us, from a work perspective, those of you in the room who have the opportunity to lead teams or lead an organization, I happen to believe that we all have a unique opportunity as leaders of organizations. And I can't really share how I feel about that opportunity without sharing just a little bit about my faith. But it doesn't have to be a faith-based thing. So about 5 years ago, I joined an organization called C12, which is an advisory group for Christian CEOs, and they've really challenged us to think about things differently as we lead our businesses. And the pictures on the screen are pictures of two different things that are on my bulletin board in front of my desk at work. And the one is trying to ask myself as often as possible, am I acting like an owner or am I acting like a steward? And so that word stewardship is talking about managing something well that you don't own if you're an effective steward. So when you understand that this isn't yours and you don't need to hold on to it with closed fists, that opens up some new possibilities. And the other thing is for me personally, I like to ask myself, if I had to go to God and argue for him to let me be CEO again next year, what would I say? And would he give me my job back? And I want to have an answer to that question. I know there's some chuckles about that, and that's fine, but it's an important question to me. Am I leading this business just for my own sake? Or do I really believe in my community and the teams that we lead and things of that nature? So whether or not it's faith-based is not the issue. As a leader, I think we all have an opportunity, right, to bring our values, to bring our beliefs into the workplace. If they sound anything like caring for others, being generous, giving back, any of those things resonate with you, you have an opportunity to do that in your workplace and unlock the potential of the people that you work with, and economic development will take care of itself. So that's just a little bit about what we do and what we're the journey we're on as a company. And again, we've got a long way to go. We make mistakes every day, but we pick ourselves back up and keep after it. And it's a lot of fun, by the way, to do this. So I appreciate having the opportunity to be here tonight. And I guess we're going to take a few minutes if there's questions. Is that right, Paul?
Yes, please.
Good. David.
This isn't a plant, but how many meals did you pack for children? And this year, how many total since you started the program?
So this year it was 1,556,928. And in 10 years, it's 10,708,952. And that's with 42,000 volunteers, by the way. So that's this community. You all know this is an incredible community that we're blessed to live in. I mean, this community shows up and shows up and shows up. So we're grateful for that. Yeah.
Tim, you're offering education opportunities, trying to offer multiple relationship services for your employees. Are you finding the resources available in the community, or do we fall short?
Yes, we're finding the resources available in the community, I would say. Not always, on the first day, so to speak. But yeah, this community, I love this community because those kind of resources are there. People who care are here. Yeah, so we are finding those resources. Always opportunity for improvement, of course, but no, in general, yeah, we are. One more. Hey, Jerry.
Hi, Tim. For someone who has been in this community for a long time, who has worked in private business, I worked in philanthropy and nonprofits, and now I have a great, exciting chapter, perhaps one of the last chapters in my life, and that is government service. As it relates to the core values that you talked about, do you see any correlation or any differences in those three areas? For-profit business, nonprofit organizations, and government service.
Yeah, I don't have experience in those other areas necessarily. I have a little bit of experience in nonprofit just through the boards that I've served on and so on. But of course, 99% of my experience is in the private sector. But I believe the common thread is just caring about people, and wanting to give back and be a part of a community, doing something that's bigger than yourself. So I think that can happen in any sector, whether that's government, education, business, nonprofit, at home raising our kids. So I think there's a huge commonality that ties all those things together. Yeah. Other questions for Tim? Let me get out here. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. When he thinks about, we use love at work, right? But how cool is that? When he says he loves this community, how many of us actually say that, right? And when I sit here and think about the involvement that I've been in this community and the people that I've been around, man, I love DeKalb. I love DeKalb County. I love working with so many of you because it's people like Tim, Bill, Brian, Frank, Paul. It's all of us, that idea of stewardship, right? The volunteerism that we have, the giving back. That's how we move the needle in our community, whether it's economic development, which this organization's about, right? Or whether it's within our families or in our individual businesses. So thanks for the leadership, and thanks for actually just saying it, because it's kind of nice to hear it from someone else and know that it's okay just to say, I love this place, I love you all, and can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough, Tim, for taking the time out tonight to share what's going on in your organization. I'm going to wrap things up really quick then. On behalf of the Board of Directors and DCEDC, got to thank you all for coming out. It's great to see the support in the community and the support of this organization, which I can tell you firsthand in the role that I'm in right now. There's a lot of people that work really hard to make our community as successful as possible from an economic development standpoint, and DCEDC is a definite part of that. I got to say, our branding initiative that's coming through, I can't wait to share more of that with you. The impact that's going to make is absolutely fantastic, and I have to give Jeep, where you at, Jeep? Jeep, there she is, Jeep. A lot of kudos for a lot of hard work and chairing that committee, so fantastic. I also got to say we're a nonprofit organization. We are crushing it from a performance level on many ways. Fundraising, we're at $3,800 short, so if anyone can help us drag that $3,800 across the finish line, I'd really appreciate it, because Paul and his team and all of us, we just need to get to work. And we can get to work when we have the dollars we need to be able to drive this organization. So lastly, just want to thank the Board of Directors for all the time that they spend, everyone working in the committees, the members that do that, and all of you volunteering your time to make those impactful. Got to say thank you. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the staff at DCEDC for all their hard work they do throughout the year, as well as putting on this event to allow all of us to come together, hang out with each other, enjoy each other's company, and hear about amazing stories like the Suter Company and realize the bar is here, right? And we all need to raise the bar in our lives and in our organizations. So with that, I'll say good night to all of you, and thanks for coming out.